seem to do this every week. I forget my wireless mic until the very last moment. And yes, I know we're live already. I did that on purpose. In fact, I wanted to start a few minutes early just so that I could start in with this chopping um, rather than waste everybody's time after 8 o'clock starts. I figured might as well get the chopping done before 8 o'clock, especially since it's not that difficult, but it is going to it is going to take a few minutes. All I need to chop up are some onions and all of those mushrooms. Now, the onions here, typically it calls for shallots, except that, like a lot of people I know, I tend to substitute regular onions for the shallots because there's really nothing wrong with that. In this case, I am using a little bit of red onion because I have it available here. And then it's just a matter of getting started. Hello, everybody, by the way. Hello, Rick Stumbo and Pat Z, Cynthia Wesley. Hello to everybody here. Like I said, we are a few minutes early, so no need to panic. And nobody's really going to miss anything if they don't show up early, because again, all I'm doing is the exciting job, as you can see, of prep work, getting some onions chopped up. And after this will come all of those mushrooms. Oh, I worry that I have enough mushrooms. I mean, I went and got a 24-ounce pack of cremini mushrooms, and I've got about 3 ounces left over from my last batch of mushrooms. So hopefully 27 ounces of mushrooms will be enough. And I'm not joking either, because we're going to be making a mushroom duxelle to go with our steak sandwich. Anybody who has had beef Wellington or any other dish that goes with a mushroom duxelle, you will know that there's really no such thing as too many mushrooms as far as that is concerned. So I can just hope we have enough, especially since I'm trying to make 2 sandwiches here. Okay, you can make some wonderful sauteed broccoli in cast iron. Well, I certainly hope so. And incidentally, I do hope folks can hear this. As I said, I set up my microphone at the last moment, unfortunately, after the live video started. I hope we're not muted here. Hello, RT Scott. Hi, all. Nonetheless, this part here is not difficult. Just the inevitable tedious prep work. Okay, hi, hey, and hello to everybody. Audio fine, rolling past your farm. Thank you very much. That's really just all I'm concerned about, because this isn't going to be too difficult, and I'm pleased with that. I mean, steaks are delicious. That's probably the biggest reason why they're so popular. The other reason, of course, is that they're so easy to make. Well, easy, but not easy, of course. You know, naturally, you need temperature control to get yourself a steak that is seared just the way you want it. But nonetheless, once you get the hang of it, it's not especially difficult. Likewise here, although it certainly helps to have the right tools for the job. I have had this little thingamabob here for good grief, about 10 years or so. I think I got this when I first started packing my kitchen, probably like about 2010, 2011, and it's certainly done a good job. If I remember right, I bought this thing here from, I think I just got it at Ocean State Job Lot, and it's certainly held up well for the last 10 years. Anyway, 13 years? Holy cow. Okay, anyway, that takes care of the onions. And we still have about 5 minutes before the official intro. So, do a little bit more chopping. We'll start with these white mushrooms. And then we will move on to the creminis. Yay, I received my new toys today from Louis. Oh, nice. Well, I hope you enjoy them, and I especially hope you get some use out of them. That's probably the most important thing. But yeah, fortunately as well, mushrooms are very easy to chop. Although, as you can see, like everybody else, I'm getting them all over the place. Well, practice makes perfect. Nothing else I can say about that. Um, There we go. This is not taking very long, thank goodness. But that was why I wanted to get this started. Oh, it would also help if I started preheating my cast iron because, as it turns out, I'm going to have to bring out the big guns tonight. Uh, I will show you the cast iron in a couple minutes after the official intro. But these are some pretty big steaks. They're not especially thick, but they are very wide and long. There we go. There's a starter for you. Unfortunately, I have to rest this glass bowl on a little cloth here, largely because it's not exactly level. It spins, or it rocks a little bit, and it makes an annoying noise when placed on a flat surface. I guess that's one reason why Pyrex is unfortunately, threatening to go out of business. Their quality of their product, unfortunately, is not what it used to be. I'm sorry to say. Oh yeah, all users in this house use unless scared of them Wagners. Too perfect to ruin. I'm great at messy chopping, aren't we all? And that's exactly what I'm doing right here. But here we go. Family pack cremini mushrooms. And I guess I'll say it once as well because this subject always comes up when mushrooms come up. No, I am not washing my mushrooms in advance. Because this is dirt. This is not dirt on these mushrooms. They are spores. Yep, definitely. So this means that, yeah, no, the spores I found out from experience is that they pretty much dissolve instantly when fried in a pan. I have never, and I mean never with a capital N, had any problem at all with not washing my mushrooms, whether I'm cooking for myself or cooking for guests or company. So I am very much in the I don't wash my mushrooms crowd. All right, having said that, we have about 2 minutes, I guess. So I'll get a little bit more chopping in. Chop, chop. Just gotta watch the fingers, of course. As I've said too many times, I'm not a professional. So my chopping is very amateurish. Yes, I have had a couple of knife accidents over the years. Everyone has. I try to make sure not to have another one. But if it happens, well, I just have to be careful. That's all. Dun, 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 dun. So far, so good. Anyway, I think we'll start this way. Chop, 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 chop. Chop, 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 chop. And with that window open, it's blowing onto the gas flame. I just gotta be as careful as I can, that's all. Oh, there we go. Okay, so far, I think it is about time because people are here, and I thank you very much, everybody. Yes, I will say again, I did intentionally start a few minutes early just so that I could get a head start on chopping up all these mushrooms here. But nonetheless, it's time. Hi there. Welcome, everybody, to Cast Iron Wednesday, which is a tradition that a lot of YouTube cooking channels have been doing for at least the past several years now. It's fun to do a video on Wednesday. It gives us something to look forward to, as well as an excuse to create some content. But most importantly, as I said, because it's fun. Any excuse to play with cast iron is a good excuse. I mean, heck, I was just looking on my YouTube feed just a little while ago, in fact, and a couple of videos came up that were labeled as Cast Iron Wednesday. One was a guy who was making barbecued chicken and some well, what looked like not exactly dumplings. Great, I don't have the video in front of me right now, but so unfortunately I don't have it memorized. And there was another guy, in fact, he labeled his video Cast Iron Wednesday. He was making pizza in his cast iron over an open fire. So, and that looked pretty good too. So, hello to both of you folks. If yeah, I mean, feel free to mention that they've been mentioned here, because like, share the love and all that. I am just busy chopping up some mushrooms, but yeah, I guess I should say as well. That's one reason why I'm not doing another pizza tonight. I was considering doing yet another pizza, and what's wrong with pizza and cast iron? Absolutely nothing. However, number one, I do want to try to be a little different. And secondly, just as important, I have had this long list of food projects that I want to do, and I just haven't gotten around to doing them. It's like I'm like so many of those people who watch all these YouTube videos, especially now that all of these shorts are showing up. The ones that are a minute or less, and you see another viral video of some amazing looking food, and you say to yourself, "Wow, I gotta make this." And then so many of us don't make that. So that's one thing I'm trying to get around. I want to actually start doing it, which comes down to what we are making tonight. Because yes, I am basing this on a viral video I saw on YouTube, and yeah, this steak sandwich looks so good. I figured I should give it a try, especially since it's a classic and very famous steak sandwich known as the shooter's sandwich. And boy, especially these days, can you think of a name for a food that might be less politically correct? I mean, ouch. I mean, again, in today's environment, there's absolutely no way anybody would intentionally call something a shooter's sandwich. However, that is what we call it. That is what they call it, and I'm not going to shy away from it, especially since it comes from history. Namely that it's based on. This is a one of those famous dishes from England where they invented the sandwich, and they're very proud about that. This particular one comes, especially, it seems like, from the aristocracy, and so it really has. It was apparently a sandwich that especially made to appeal to the hunters crowd, like fox hunters and people who would, although certainly back in those days, people hunted not just for the sport of it, but nonetheless, the interesting thing about this sandwich as well is it's meant to be eaten cold, in that after this is done, we are supposed to press it down and chill it in the fridge overnight. So I'm actually going to be making two of them. And one, yeah, I don't think I can wait. I want to see what the sandwich tastes like. And so I'll probably be eating that one hot before this video ends. But the second one will be done in the traditional way and chopped and put in the fridge. Okay, anyway, so far, and I've been talking on and on already, but hello to everybody who's been kind enough to show up here. I recognize a lot of familiar names, but it's always nice to see people who are showing up here for the first time. Hello to Debbie and Dope Nose. Hi, Dope Nose. And Cynthia Wesley and Val's Black Cats Rules and Jimmy Langford and William Hart and Debbie and Papa Dan is not here yet. Hopefully he is okay. Yes, indeed. Though If nothing else, though, again, thank you very much for showing up, especially since we are just going to be playing with cast iron tonight. Trying to get as much of this. Wow, boy, I'm actually thinking that maybe I am gonna have enough mushrooms here. I got myself a 24-ounce so-called family pack of cremini mushrooms in order to be sure that we have enough to make a mushroom duxelle to go with this sandwich. Um, and that's and this is yet another reason why I am so glad. I love trying new things and going out of my way to try new things because I'm sure a lot of folks have probably heard of beef Wellington. Again, there's another sign that the sandwich comes from the elite, because this is something of a beef Wellington sandwich. It is as I said, we're going to be making steak, and it's also, and along with that steak comes with something called a mushroom duxelle, which is basically a whole lot of mushrooms fried together and that is essentially going to be we're going to be putting a layer of mushrooms into this sandwich. In fact, more than one. And if you're like me, if you're a hobbit like me and you love mushrooms, well, yeah, it's like, really, you can never have too many mushrooms. In fact, I made a burger Wellington, a low cost Wellington, about a year ago, and did the mushroom duxelle for it, and I discovered the mushroom duxelle. Why do the all of these viral videos on YouTube for making a beef Wellington? They all skip the mushroom duxelle. Why do they do that? Because number one, the mushroom duxelle is delicious. I mean, what can you say? Mushrooms and butter, and in this case, in fact, we're gonna deglaze it with wine too. So yeah, the duxelle on its own is freaking delicious. So, and it's also easy to make. The hard part is simply what I'm doing right now, all of this chopping here, trying to get these mushrooms chopped up so that we can indeed have ourselves the mushroom duxelle. And I don't know if it's because of the fact that chopping up these mushrooms takes up some time. Maybe that's why so many people seem to skip the mushroom duxelle. But I will go on the record of saying that is a bad idea. I love the duxelle part, and if you've never made a mushroom duxelle to go with whatever dish you are making, I would very much highly encourage you to do so, because it is not really difficult, and boy, does it ever taste good. Okay. Thank you for your patience, though, nonetheless. All right. I'm trying to get this done as fast as I can. In fact, I know a lot of folks, especially because this thing takes so long and there's so much chopping involved, a lot of folks just use a food processor, which is not a bad idea, except that I don't have a food processor right now. Um, every time I have gotten myself a blender or food processor, admittedly a cheap one, I have broken it after only about 2 to 3 uses maximum. And that included a Ninja food processor that I'd inherited from my mom after she passed away. The thing just burned out after only about 2 or 3 uses. So I was not happy about that. But that has been my luck with these blenders and food processors. And that's probably why I haven't made the investment to get a really heavy duty food processor. I mean, if the thing's going to break after 2 to 3 uses, really, what's the point? I mean, granted, it would make a moment like now, for instance, a lot more, a lot easier. But such as it is, that's why I can only say I am doing this as quickly as I can. Hello, Chuck Miller. I own a private gun range in Arizona. This will be my new main lunch. Oh yeah, I think so as well. If you actually try this, it probably will be your new main lunch, whether or not you actually shoot guns. Ugh. And I guess for the record, especially given my last couple of short videos recently on YouTube, I will say no, I am not getting into politics tonight. This thing is called the shooter's sandwich. I'm going to call it the shooter's sandwich. And it has nothing whatsoever to do well, I mean, yes, it was made, as I said, for hunters and like fox hunters and all that, but it has nothing to do with guns, and I am not, absolutely not, getting involved in gun control politics here. And having said that, we've got a nice big dish of mushrooms here. A few left over. Maybe I'll just save that for the side because this doesn't look so bad. Which means now that we've done that, finally it's time to have some fun here. Because that means now we get to break out a couple of sirloin tip steaks, and let me get a close up of this for you. Let me see if I can bring this camera down here because, yeah, these things here, I mean, man, these things are blood red. I'm actually quite happy with that. These are sirloin tip steaks that I bought this morning at Price Chopper, and I intentionally chose a cheaper cut of meat. Seems like whenever they do these, pretty much any steak video on YouTube, they always go for ribeyes. I mean, ribeyes are wonderful. Yes, I mean they are. They're tender. They're delicious. They're either ribeye or sometimes they go for wagyu steak. But of course, what it is about ribeye or wagyu or the like. It is freaking expensive. It is an expensive cut of meat. And while it's great to have on a special occasion, especially since we're going to be actually making a sandwich out of this, I see no reason not to actually just go for a cheaper cut of meat, especially since it's been marinating all day. I coated these steaks with salt and I left them uncovered in the fridge all day. So yes, these should certainly be. Sorry about that, but there we go. Should certainly have tenderized by now. Still, I'm actually, yeah, I mean, it actually looks good enough. This is also a big steak. I mean, these are two big steaks. They're not especially thick, but they are big or wide, very wide and long. And because of this, in fact, I actually had to bring out the big guns tonight. So now it's time to head over to the stove. And now, finally, 10 minutes into this or more, we get to show some cast iron. Hope it wasn't too bad. Yeah, oh my gosh, is that a sandwich? Yes, exactly. So, yeah, those two steaks are going to go into two sandwiches, all right. But now we get to show off some cast iron here. And as I said, I had to bring out the big guns tonight. So, where is. Okay, here's one. I definitely need a glove here because these things are nice and hot and I've been heating them up for about 20 minutes now. Here is number one. This is a Griswold, nonetheless. It is a Griswold number 10, 11.5-inch cast iron skillet. And over in this corner, we have number two, which is my other big skillet. This is also a number 10 size, but this is even bigger. It is a Birmingham Stove and Range number 10 Century Series. And this one, in fact, is 12.5 inches in diameter. So, yeah, these should certainly be big enough to sear us up a couple of steaks here. And having said that, let me see. There we go. I think I want to get it so that we can see both of these in action. So again, I apologize yet again for the roller coaster here. There we go. I think this will be good. Here is a close-up, more or less, of the Griswold. Debbie, question, have been getting into cold handle skillets. The word cold handle skillets, is that a different brand? I'm not sure not sure even what we're referring to. I'm sorry to say, but yeah. Oh yeah, I'm quite happy with these myself. Anyway, especially since these steaks here have already been marinated, let me. Yeah, that's probably the last thing I need to do. I'm sorry about that. Moving back here, let us simply give these steaks some pepper. There's already plenty of salt here, so all I need is some pepper. There we go. That's One side, pat, pat, pat. Now let me turn it over. And in fact, I think you should probably even um, quickly use a paper towel on the other side. There we go. Yeah, because it's been resting like this for the past 12 hours here. Even has some marks from the rack that it was sitting on. There we go. Now, at last, a little bit of pepper on this side. As I said, these steaks were already salted. So there we go. Thank you for waiting. Which means now I need to redo this back here once again. There we go. That's a pretty good view. And now at last. Last thing. Always forget something. Had to bring out the corn oil. I like using corn oil on my steaks because I find it really doesn't have any much of a flavor to it, and it is a good high smoke point oil, which is especially important because these steaks are probably going to make a fair amount of smoke. All right. There's one. And here comes two. There we go. And where did I put my tongs? I am not thinking tonight. Apologize. There we go. At last. There we go. No more delays, folks. It's time to make us some steaks. The stakes are high. And away we go. Oh, yeah, I can smell that already. Oh man, can I smell that? Wow. I mean, the moment it hit the pan, I could smell that. But yeah, like I said, this is an 11.5-inch pan, and this steak here just barely fits. This one is a 12.5-inch pan, in fact. Doing some research, excuse me, doing some research on this shooter sandwich. There were, of course, just about all of the big cooking websites have their own shooter sandwich. One amusing one, in fact, comes from Britain, the home of the shooter sandwich. I looked on the website of Two Fat Ladies, and they have a very simple recipe for a shooter sandwich that doesn't even mention a duxelles. No, it doesn't even mention Dijon mustard, strangely enough. Or is it they don't mention the duxelles? Either way, but their point is that because this is going to be pressed down into a sandwich, you want to cook this rare because any more of that and it becomes shoe leather. So I will certainly have. I've actually taken care of the alarm this time, Mercy B. What was the marinade you used for the steak? I used salt, and that's it. Literally, I put these steaks on a rack this morning, elevated. Gave them a light coating of regular table salt, in fact, and then put them in the fridge uncovered for it's been 12 hours. I started it at about 7:30 this morning, so more than 12 hours. Although at some point, maybe about 6 hours in, I've added some more kosher salt to the top of the steak. But that's it. That's the only marinade I used on this steak. You can, of course, spice your steak the way you want to. I mean, this is one of those recipes. It's a classic recipe. It's one that has like about 100 different variations to it. So there is no exact way to make this shooter sandwich here. I mean, it's not like, oh, you're not using the right things. So, I mean, even the mushroom duxelle is optional. On the other hand, as I said, the duxelle is wonderful, and so I'm certainly not going to say no to that. There we go. Make sure the crust or the edges here all come down. Yeah. Called the chaos detector. Yes, I found a beautiful aluminum Dutch oven that I fell in love with. Not his, but I found one for $20. Nice. Well, I can only hope you get a lot of use out of it. I mean, I certainly have gotten a lot of use out of mine because, as I've said, I found the aluminum Dutch oven to be about the world's greatest water boiler. And here is the steak cooking in the BSR here. So I love making rice in my aluminum Dutch oven and pasta, things that require a lot of water. Better check this already. See how this turns out. Because as I said, I do not want this thing to become shoe leather. Now this thing is already at about 100, 106. Oh, we're already getting close. One side of it is getting to the key point. So like the thin side is getting there, whereas the thicker side is not quite yet. So I think I had better turn it over one more time. Okay, we are getting to, yeah, I think, okay. Matter of fact, I think we're all set already. Nice. Which means let's move this over here. Get this out of the pan right away. There's one. And here's two. That sure didn't take long, did it? Yeah. Bam, just like that. Here we are with two big sirloin tip steaks. All right. Yay, cast iron. What temperature did he go for? It was already breaking 120 when I put these. So because I really didn't want to take any chances. After all, we are now in the resting period. Oh yeah, in fact, I should probably even pull out a little bit of aluminum foil here now that I'm thinking of it, so that with any luck, these steaks should be anywhere from rare to medium rare, or at least that's my hope. But now that we've done that, the other suggestion I got from two fat ladies was to cook the steaks first, especially so that I could use the juices to cook the mushroom duxelle. Quite frankly, I like that suggestion. So now that we've done that, though, I can bring this down to one and turn off one burner. Turn down the other burner. It doesn't have to be blazing hot. And let me mix the juices from one into the other here. Because why waste it? Go. Which means now we've got to start here. Here it is. That means now for the duxelle. Here come our onions. Is not taking long at all, of course, because this is still one hot cast iron pan, which means I should probably already start throwing in the mushrooms. There we go. Now this is a lot of mushrooms. However, these will reduce. Then that's the whole point. Like I said, this is a 12.5-inch skillet here. I've turned down the heat down to about 1/2 on this pan. But now it's only a matter, as I said, of just simply cooking the mushrooms until they're all well done and the water in the mushroom evaporates. So probably won't take that long. In fact, now that we're at this point already, I should probably actually throw in some butter. There we go. Okay. Meanwhile, can't wait to hit the flea markets, horseradish. You sure that isn't 12 5/8 inches? This is actually a mid-70s BSR when they changed the size of some of their pans. And as a result, this actually has a very odd measurement on the bottom. I can't lift it up now, of course, but the measurement actually says 12 7/16. So it is just a very fraction under 12.5. Yeah, during the 1970s, as I mentioned, BSR, they engaged in some cost-cutting measures. One of which was, again, a number of their pans were resized. This was largely so that their production could become more efficient. And they could do things like fit the molds better. And in the case of the number 8 skillet, in fact, a very, very slight reduction of the size, very slight, resulted in them being able to fit you'd be able to cast 2 pans in one mold. You had one mold on this side and one mold on that side. And that was why they had what they called the 8B cast iron Century Series skillet. Those of you who know anything about BSNR, you probably know about the 87B or 8B7 skillet, which means it's essentially, rather than being 10 and what is it, like 10 5/8 inches in size, it is actually 10 1/4 inches in size, or actually the same size as a typical Wagner or Lodge cast iron skillet. In fact, it is the size of the original BSNR number 7. So anyway, these mushrooms, as you can see, have definitely reduced, and they've released a lot of liquid. Of course, it also helps that I added all that butter. And now that I've done this, I am thinking maybe I should just chop up the rest of those mushrooms and add them as well. Doesn't seem like too bad an idea. This is a diehard Sink fan's house. I will be back more often. My daughter wants me to go to Castroville. Have a good evening. Oh, have fun, Jose Latias. Besides, I just realized there we go. I'm not even focusing the pan right, and I apologize for that. There we go. That's a little better. Anyway, once this part is done, really, it's like all we have to do is pretty much shape the sandwich. So this sure didn't take long. Of course, it certainly helped that, again, I preheated the cast iron skillet and chopped up most of those mushrooms in advance. So now it's really, as I said, a matter of cooking off the extra water in these mushrooms here. Cremini mushrooms. Oh, one other thing while we're at it, I should also throw in a little bit of garlic. There we go. Because that'll definitely spice things up. Anyway, it's not going to take long. I mean, you can see already once most of this liquid disappears, then this will be ready. All right, go off to the wall. Go to the off-the-wall places. That's where you find cast iron. Some will be high, others are cheap. Same building, different vendors. Yes, I know that feeling all too well. I have one of those 7B pans. I bought one in the mid 1980s. I call it lumpy because it has a very bad casting. Yeah, that is true too. Unfortunately, I mean, BSR pans are wonderful workhorses, and as they know, they are wonderful kitchen users. In some instances, you do have to wonder about the quality of some individual BS&R pans. There are quite a few of them over the years that seem to have these little casting flaws on them, like your lumpy, for instance, or my stumpy, for that matter. I guess it's largely because, while BSNR, they certainly did have quality control for their cast iron, they were also cheap, quite frankly. I mean, really, they did want to try to manufacture their pans as with as little expense as possible. And that was why a lot of these flaws made it all the way to the production line. And as a result, we got to see cast iron pans from BSNR with just little things on them that that definitely did not ruin the pan. They were still fine to cook with, but you get to see little things like red mountains, for instance. I have a red mountain lid that is not an 8F; it is an F8. F as in Franklin. They just simply misspelled it. Or, of course, all of those BSNR pans with a screw mark on them because, of course, quality control. They put the screw mark on those pans in order to check for flaws in the patterns and in the molds. If they saw a lot of pans being rejected, being poor quality, then that means that the molds were going bad and needed to be replaced. Anyway, this is all still bubbling, and we are starting to get larger gaps in this liquid. So we are getting close, but yeah, all that liquid definitely has reduced. I will say that. This is a very unusual bad casting. The surface is all uneven. And yet, I have no doubt you can probably still cook just fine with old lumpy there. I have very little doubt about that. That reminds me of Lightning, my number 7 BSNR, a Red Mountain number 7, in fact. This one here, on the other hand, as I mentioned already, is a Century Series number 10, 12 and 7/16 inches in size. It is also a spinner, unfortunately, and yet, as you can see, it still works just fine, especially here on this gas stove top. So we are getting there as far as the liquid is concerned. You can see that again, we are starting to see gaps in the liquid. So it's only a matter of being a little bit more patient, which is interesting, William. Stay safe. Barbecue. How are fires in Quebec doing? Are they getting ahead of them yet? Yeah, good question there. This was an unusual bad casting. Yeah, okay, I heard about that one. So, I still use it sometimes. Oh, well, that's good because really, I mean, as long as you have that pan, there's no reason not to use it. If you're saying you use it sometimes, I mean, just curious, and I'm not putting you down. Do you have other pans that you use in its place? I mean, after all, here I am trying to work my way through my collection. That was one reason why I brought out these two big pans here for making these steaks and these mushrooms tonight. Because it had been a while since I used that Griswold number 10. So I'm glad to be able to use that tonight. And likewise here for this BSNR number 10. Thanks to this, of course, it means I'll be able to freshen them up. After I clean them up, I'll be able to give them a nice fresh grease or coating of seasoning, and then it'll be on to the next one. As I mentioned, folks, my hope is that I want to work my way through this list of things that I want to make in cast iron. That's why I'm doing the shooter sandwich tonight. For next week, I'm debating whether I might go for another British dish, bone marrow pie, or I'm also thinking maybe I'll go down to Italy and make cannoli because it's been a few years since I've made cannoli. I would very much like the opportunity to make more cannoli. Check out the Lodge camping recipes. I have a lot better pans than that one. Okay, well then, William Hurt. Oh yeah, I also found a small logo, number 12 Griswold. Well, that's a score, Corey. Definitely. Go with the cannoli. Holy moly, not cannoli or camoli. I'm thinking that it sounds like that cannoli may end up being on the menu next week. Because, well, I'll show you the bone marrow pie as well, but especially since we're already doing a meat sandwich tonight, yeah, maybe changing up, doing a change up and doing cannoli next week probably wouldn't be a bad idea. So that sounds like a good plan. George Lewis, I only have one BSR, a chicken fry with a warped bottom. The only flaw was the bonehead that warped it. Oh, well, my condolences about that. Um, and I know a lot of times when I say things like that, I'm often referring to myself. And if that's the case, well, it's a learning experience because to be honest, I've warped a few of my pans as well. When I was first learning how to cook in cast iron, I actually managed to warp my thick, large cast iron wok. Yeah, I've got that 14-inch large cast iron wok, and you know how thick the bottom of that is? It's got to be at more than half an inch thick at the bottom. And yet I warped it. It actually does wobble. So, yeah, that was definitely a life lesson for me. It was one reason why, when I learned that the best way to do cast iron cooking, quite frankly, with some exceptions, is low and slow. I mean, doing these steaks tonight definitely was not low and slow. On the other hand, this mushroom is. We're probably getting close to that point because, as you can see, we have real gaps now in the liquid. So I think we are getting close to that point. Any difference in how the two different foundry skillets cook the steaks? Good question. Well, as a matter of fact, I am actually going to cut these steaks down because you see, they're two big steaks, but I want to make two separate sandwiches from them and two layer sandwiches because, yeah, here's the thing. They actually, you're supposed to do this in layers. I'll show you once we put the sandwich together. But as I mentioned, I want to make two sandwiches. One, which will go into the fridge because you're supposed to eat this sandwich cold. It's actually meant, as I said, it's something that they actually put in their lunch and they ate it cold. On the other hand, I would very much want to try one of these tonight. So I'm making a separate one just to have tonight. And that's my story. But in other words, in just a minute or so, we're going to be cooking. We're going to be cutting into the steaks. So we will see ourselves. And I can only hope as well that I didn't overcook them again. We're probably good at this point. I think I could probably safely turn off the heat here. I bought a wok because of this channel and love it. Whoa, thank you very much, Dean. That's actually very flattering. And I'm and I can only hope, as you said, you love it. And I'm glad about that. Yeah, get a lot of use out of that wok. And I certainly do. Fanning got two beautiful woks, have his older models. My daughter asked for a wok for Christmas when she was 14, and she loves it. And congratulations to your daughter. All right. Having said that, I need to get out a plate now because it is time. Ugh, don't want to. Yeah, last week I unplugged that camera. My bad. But this time I want to be sure that we actually make it to the end of the video. So, no more tripping. However, it is now time cut into these steaks and see how they turned out. So that means we get to move back over here, put the light back over here as well. Honey in the house. Hello, Honey Badger. Glad to see you made it. And thank you. And welcome back to this little channel here, where as you can see, we are unveiling two big sirloin steaks that we just cooked tonight in two cast iron pans. So, no time like the present. Put one of these on. what I want to do is make this about 2/3. Basically, there is almost 3 pounds of steak here, or at least one before they started cooking. I want to do 2 pounds in one sandwich and 1 pound in a smaller sandwich. So that means we're going to have to do, again, about 1/3 of the size. I could do the thicker part or the thinner part. Based on this, I think I'll do the thinner part. There we go. And now for, as they say, the moment of truth. Let's see what the steak looks like. Well, mmm, nice. I do believe, in fact, I should probably move that light over because it seems to be the camera itself. But nonetheless, there we go. Not bad at all. I'd say we are just about medium rare here, maybe even rare. That is a lot of sandwich. Yes, it is. This is a big freaking sandwich. I'm not going to deny that. But still, that's a pretty good start here. Yeah, in fact, so far so good. I'm hoping the light isn't too bright. I am trying to give you a good example of how this steak turned out. It is here on the rack. And now let us go for steak number 2. It's about here, I think. Oh my. Wow. Come on, do this right. Nice. I do believe we hit medium rare in each of these. So, yeah, I am quite happy. As for how the steaks with the different boundaries cooked, um, it seems like whenever we have one of these cook offs, we usually end up copping out and saying, gee, folks, it's a tie. And, I don't think I'm lying when I say that either. Because, yeah, I have to say, these are both two pretty good looking steaks, if you don't mind me saying so. And put some horseradish on one. Yes, exactly. So, medium well for me. Um, yeah, it might argue that it's medium well, but I'd say we're probably just on the cusp of medium rare still here. Last time I did this, I actually made it medium well. So this one, fortunately, I think it turned out all right. So far, so good. Yay. And yeah, this is a lot of steak. I don't deny that. These are going to be two big sandwiches. No way I can eat these things myself, not unless I take a whole week to do it. But this is where the next part comes in. Let's, okay, and this is where, and yes, I did use store-bought bread. Yet one of many things that I really have to do more of is practicing bread baking. Yeah, that's right, in cast iron. Which is why, as I said at the beginning of this video, I've got this long list of things that I still have to do, and definitely bread baking. Yeah, I'm not mispronouncing that. Bread baking is one of them. All right, but now okay, at this point, all we're supposed to do, we don't even cut it in half, by the way. We are supposed to just simply cut off the top part here carefully and dig it out, which means there's a bowl for the extra bread that we're going to have to dig out here because, yeah, I know you can do it this way with a knife, carefully, that is. The gentleman with the gun range, I'm hoping you're still watching because I would very much like to see what you think the results of this are. And which means now we just simply pull ourselves out some bread. And there we go. Mm, sourdough, which means, yeah, I got to eat some of it. It's sourdough. Mm. Oh yeah. Even if it is store-bought sourdough, it's still sourdough. Now, from here, better get out a knife because what we're supposed to do next is take out our spicy mustard, Dijon mustard, and start slathering it all over the inside of the sandwich. In fact, instead of using that knife, I should probably, I'm not kidding, should probably use a spatula. So, plop. Besides, this stuff is so spicy that only a little bit is needed. I'm hoping I didn't use too much, in fact. There we go. This is not so difficult, as you could see. I mean, yeah, really, this is easy. Even for me, it's easy. Okay, we've got that. And now that we've done that, it's time to start layering, which means, great, I'm making a mess here, running out of space. That's never a good thing. Move this out of the way because now to lay out a trivet. Oh, that's how we'll do it. Lay out a trivet, and onto this trivet comes our hot cast iron pan. I should not have done that without the without a handle cover. All right, we start with the mushrooms. There are mushrooms here. There we go. Don't want to overdo it because into this we put the first steak. Where did I put the steak? There it is. Yeah. Here's the first steak. Holy cow, this is thick. But there we go. That actually fit nicely. And now onto this, we layer on more Dijon mustard. Flop. And put that on. And then to here comes the next steak. So yeah, this is good grief. I wasn't sure if this bread wouldn't be too big, but holy cow, look at this. It's just barely fitting. Because finally, after this, oh man, this is good. Top it off with more mushrooms. Here we go. Boy, is this a sandwich or is this a sandwich? Whew. Well, I right now at this moment am not regretting making this sandwich because this is definitely a sandwich worthy of YouTube. Finally, put a little bit more of this Dijon. William Hurt likes his horseradish too. Okay, and in we go. There we go. Bam. Now let me wash my hands for a moment because there's the first sandwich. Because now we have two things we need to do. I'm not sure it is. It's mandatory in Texas. Oh man, it's yeah, that's the other thing. The other part is you got to squish it down. Exactly. We're not done yet. Yeah, need one big mouth. Well, actually, once this thing is all squished down, we'll be able to slice it up into smaller pieces. So, how am I going to do this now? Aside from the fact that yet again I'm making another mess, but that's life. My kitchen, my mess. I will deal with it. Now that we've done this, Let me dig out the plastic wrap. But yeah, this is one big, heavy sandwich. Boy, is this a big, heavy sandwich. Also, we don't want to wrap this thing airtight. We want it a loose wrap, especially because, it's going to expand. I mean, we are going to be wrapping this thing, we're going to be pressing down on this. Come on, you know what? Ugh, oh, damn it. Cling wrap. Ugh. Try again. All right, let's do it now. There we go. That's better. All right, there we go. Thing is fully wrapped. And like it says, now comes the fun part. Let's get something to press it down. Oh, I don't know. Like, say, for instance, what a thought. Sorry, I'm trying to be as fast as I can, folks. Oh, of course. What else? Here it is. Such as this. BSR chicken fryer. And not only a chicken fryer, holy cow, but into this, let us do a sad iron. So yeah, this thing is going to be pressing down for a long time. In fact, we're going to be doing this overnight, no less. So yeah, that means once this is done, this is going to go into into the fridge. Feathers of a big old bird. Thought that was supper. Put a Dutch oven on it. That's probably not a bad idea either. Shooter's sandwich. That's what's for lunch. Absolutely. So, oh man, shit. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this. In fact, I do believe this thing is actually splitting apart. That, of course, is why we wrapped it in plastic. Nonetheless, there we go. That's the shooter's sandwich. And this is done not badly. Having internet issues seem to have repaired themselves. Oh, good. Glad to see you, Shadow Walker XM. Now, that's a sandwich I would only share with my son, and I don't blame you one bit. Looking nice already, if you ask me. However, this thing is supposed to chill in the fridge. Again, this is supposed to be a cold cut. And that's exactly why they call it a cold cut, because that's exactly what we're doing. We are going to be just that, taking it out of the fridge and eating it cold. But right now, I'm going to put this in the fridge when the video is over. Although, of course, I do have to be pressing it down. So let's move this over. And instead, while we're doing that, let us work on sandwich number 2, which is much smaller, if you'll notice. For this one, got a bread bowl. Yes, as I said with the last one, I'm definitely going to have to dedicate at least one episode of Cast Iron Wednesday to really trying some bread baking. But anyway, here comes number 2. And yeah, this, as I said, this really hasn't been very difficult. So I like that. I mean, some recipes I found were much tougher than others. This one has not been so difficult. This is definitely a sign that this is a real traditional and medieval style recipe because, as I said, it's so easy. There we go. And there is bread bowl number 2, which is much smaller. And here we go again. A little bit of this Dijon mustard. Plop. Spread this out. If these things inspire folks to try these recipes themselves, good. That I would call that a success if this actually encourages you to try something new. It also means, I guess, that I'm doing okay if my cooking actually looks good enough for other people to want to eat it. But there we go. We've spread out the Dijon mustard again. And this pan at least has cooled off. So let me move this aside. I can put this pan right down here. And here comes the rest. Here comes some more mushrooms. Oh man, I love mushrooms. And I'm pleased to see that yeah, apparently there was enough of this mushroom duxelle to for everything. Thank goodness. I was afraid there wouldn't be enough. But there we go. Now comes steak number 1. Holy cow! You know, I'm worried this might not even fit. Gee, it looks like I may even have to just settle for one steak in this sandwich. Oh, what a shame! Because this does look pretty good. All right. However, means put some more mushrooms on top. There we go. And a little bit more. Oops. Thank goodness that Dijon mustard is thick. A little bit more Dijon here on top. And with that, we have shooter sandwich number 2. Except that once again, I have to press this thing down. All right. And where did my mouse go? There it is. Okay. No point missing this here. Yes, indeed. Mushroom. Oh, exactly. I believe you me. I am a hobbit. The vegans are crying. Well, this was never meant to be a vegetable sandwich. Although I'm sure some people probably do this with simply all mushrooms. You know, that still doesn't sound too bad either. I mean, as you folks saw last week, I made those mushroom steaks, and I thought they were pretty darn good, even though they were just marinated mushrooms and not exactly steaks, but they were still good. And I am not complaining at all about making them. Here we go. Here comes sandwich number 2. Means now that we've done that, once again, come on. Now comes the fun part. Fortunately, this thing has cooled off. Let's see. Here's the Griswold, folks. The Griswold that we cooked one of those steaks in. Press it down. Oh boy. There we go. And into this, in fact, I think I can fit this bowl. Oh, okay, let's take a moment here. We had a mess of broccoli the other day on the grill. That sounds pretty good. I love broccoli. And yeah, I like the idea of grilled broccoli too, that's for sure. I love the Chinese tenderizing secret of meat with baking soda along with wok. Yes, indeed. Ancient Chinese secrets. They're not those ancient Chinese secrets. They certainly knew what they were doing. That's for sure. Remember, the Chinese invented cast iron too. Anybody do any cooking in a ham boiler? I do not have a ham boiler at this time. I'm sure if anybody has a ham boiler, I'm sure they have probably cooked in it because, well, that's what it's for. And I will definitely encourage you to use everything you have in your collection. I think it was a Cast Iron Chaos walk episode. Oh, really? Boy, I just realized how long it's been since I've done a walk episode here. So yeah, it's like almost as though these things here are just lining up. But nonetheless, Christine, you know it. Just got my eye drops in. Papa. Oh, glad to hear Papa Dan is here. Anyone remember the rounded, hollow out rye loaf with a dill dip inside from the 80s? I'm afraid that's before my time. I mean, I was in the 80s, but I definitely was not doing food experimenting back in those days. I'm sorry to say. Save the enter bread to make croutons for salads. Yeah, I like the center bread, and I like the idea of that too. Definitely. All I have to really do is dry that out in the oven. Asparagus on the grill is super. Sandwich number two made with sourdough bread. Unfortunately, no. I could not find a sourdough bread bowl, a smaller sized one at the supermarket. This is what they just call a Tuscan. Uh, Mini bowl, they called it. So, regrettably, it's not sourdough. However, what we still have, we still have the mushrooms and we still have the steak in there. So, yeah, this is, what can I say? As I said, even though we're supposed to chill this one, I wanted to actually have this one while it's still warm because I can't wait. And I mean, what can you say? We've got steak and we have mushrooms. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely one heavy duty sandwich. I mean, what can you say? We've got, again, it's a steak and mushroom and Dijon mustard sandwich. Holy cow. I mean, boy, all I could say when the British invented sandwiches, they went all out. I really can't say anything more than that, I don't think. But I guess there's nothing else we could do but give it a try. This thing looks like it's coming apart. And I get the feeling that I got to be careful. I don't want these mushrooms to go all over the place. So, but I'm going to have to do this at least once because what can we say? Here it is, folks, the shooter sandwich. And all we can do is try it and see what it's like. Mm. Oh, man. Mm. Mm. Spicy. Oh. Mm. 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 Juicy. Mm. And I'm glad that that steak only cooked to medium rare. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Holy cow. Wow. Mm. Mm. Oh man. Mm. Mm. That is one rich sandwich. Man. Let's just say I am not regretting at all making this sandwich. I would indeed say, yes, I do believe this is worth giving a try, folks. Especially since I used a cheaper cut of steak. I deliberately went out of my way to get a sirloin tip steak because today at Price Chopper, sirloin tip steak was $5.99 a pound. Ribeye was $15.99 a pound. And I because so for that price difference, I was able to get 3 pounds of these sirloin tip steaks. And as I said, all I did for marinating these was I took the steaks, patted them dry, coated them with salt and just salt, and put them on a rack in the fridge uncovered for 12 hours. And that certainly helped to tenderize these steaks so that when we cook these in a cast iron pan to medium rare, we have got ourselves some really tasty steaks. Boy, did that really seem to enhance the flavor. You mix that in with this mushroom duxelle and the Dijon mustard. Yeah, this is definitely a sandwich to try, folks. Mm. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like the T-shirt too. I mean, after all, we are going British, baby. So of course I had to wear something from the Beatles. I'm a second generation Beatlemaniac. My mom was one of the original Beatlemaniacs. And because of her, I grew up listening to the Beatles. So, yeah, the Beatles will never die. All right. But there we go. You need a steamroller for this. Yeah, exactly. Definitely. I mean, you could see this thing's coming apart, unfortunately. But that, of course, is why we are, this one here. I'm glad we have this thing all wrapped up. Here is what the bigger steak looks like, the bigger sandwich looks like so far. And I can see why now this thing is going to go into the fridge because you figure being in the fridge overnight is going to cause this sandwich to become not dried out, but firmer, more firm, less likely to come apart. So for that reason, there's not a bad reason. That's not a bad reason to put this thing in the fridge. And I will definitely be doing that when when this video is over. So, but yeah, 3/4 teaspoon pound beef or chicken for 30 minutes and rinse with water and dry. Then the beef turns out like a Chinese restaurant. Oh, I see. That's your secret for marinating beef Chinese style. And that sounds like a pretty good plan if you ask me. But even so, what can I say? This is definitely a very classic sandwich from old Britain. They say there are, how a lot of people put down British cuisine. They say that it's basically just loads of beef, loads of bread, and loads of fat. And they're probably not wrong because this has a lot of meat and a lot of bread to it. But man, they knew what they were doing when they invented this sandwich, that's for sure. And yes, I will very much recommend this as well, especially when you make it in cast iron. Because yeah, here we go again. These steaks are so big. I'm glad I was able to pull out two 10 size cast iron skillets to make them. And you saw, or if you've seen the playback, it only took a few minutes to cook these steaks. And boy, did this do a good job. And again, I barely seasoned the steaks. Aside from marinating them in salt all day, all I did before cooking them was just give them a coating of pepper, and that's it. I didn't do anything fancy, and well, it certainly helps that it mixed in with the mustard and the mushrooms. But the end result is something I absolutely do not regret. So yes, there we go. Um, Running a little early tonight, folks. I mean, usually, oh, take another bite. Okay, well, yeah, you kind of forced me into it. What can I say? Uh-huh. Oh. Hmm. Mm. Hmm. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Mm. Holy cow, that's good. Mm. This is something I am not regretting. And now I just have to again call up my friends and family and offer them some sandwiches tomorrow. But this is definitely worth it. So yet again, I'm sure we all have a list of things that they all say, I've got to make this. Well, guess what, folks? I would say add this to your list there. Because this is really when you're saying oops, well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, granted, it looks like it's coming apart. I should probably put this thing on a plate, in fact. But nonetheless, I'm very much encouraging folks to give this thing a try. I mean, this is definitely a meat lover's sandwich. There is no question about that. There is really, as you say, vegans would run screaming from this, despite the fact it has that mushroom duxelle, which that in itself is worth making. The duxelle is wonderful, whether you're making it for this sandwich or a beef Wellington or anything else. I mean, that is a good excuse right there that I encourage you not to pass up. Even though a lot of these viral videos skip the duxelle, don't skip the duxelle. It is worth it, and so is the rest of it. This steak turned out, as I said, yes, it is a little bit more chewy than a ribeye. There's no denying that because it's a sirloin. But It is absolutely not a tough piece of leather, and it's not dried out. Even though it's going to take a while, I will definitely be able to finish this off, and there won't be any problem at all with that. I'm assuming you could slice the big one up into a few slices when it's cold for either share or last a few days. Yeah, that's probably what I'll be doing. In fact, I'm probably going to be eating this sandwich for the next week or so, and I'm going to enjoy every bite of it too. That's for sure. Wow. But there we go. So that's one. At least I can cut off my put off my list here of things to make in cast iron. Because here is the shooter sandwich. I'm dehydrating herbs tonight. I'm missing what looks like a good sandwich making. I'll have to watch the replay. Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking this will probably give you. Yeah, that's what you get after it presses and chills. And I'm certainly, yeah, that's why I'm definitely putting this thing in the fridge in just a minute or so. And with that, I think we'll be all set because I have to say, I think we've really accomplished what we set out to do tonight. I mean, besides making another mess in my kitchen here, I was able to cook in two big cast iron pans. We made a couple of really good steaks. And yeah, in fact, we still have this extra piece here. And look at how red this piece is. I'm not sure if the lighting is even able to show it. This thing here is nice and red because it marinated all day. And so the end result is pretty much everything I could have hoped for. I'm quite happy with that. And I'm especially happy that all you folks here have been kind enough to watch this going on. So, any place to find the new Lodge number 9? I can't find one anywhere. Oh, Lodge is making a new number 9 skillet. That's interesting. That might be good with a pork steak. Give it a try. I don't see why not. I mean, you mix this with the mushrooms and that Dijon mustard, and I don't see how you can go wrong. So try it with a pork steak if you want, which is actually a lot less expensive than a beef steak, too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm very happy with how this turned out, Terry Sinchef. This I feel like was a quite a satisfying result tonight. And I can only thank everybody here for watching. What did you cook it in, cast iron? What did you cook it in? Well, this is what I have here. Right here, I have a Griswold number 10, in fact. That was one that I used for cooking one of the steaks. And the other one is a Birmingham Stove and Range number 10. So I had to take out two number 10 cast iron skillets to make these steaks. But yeah, yeah, pork steak. Yeah, I would really encourage you to go ahead and give it a try, and I don't see why not. But I really think that's probably about enough for us to be able to call this an evening here, folks. Because oh, good, it's red exactly. Because as I said, it is still Wednesday night, and we do have to get on with our the rest of the week, unfortunately. And I've got to clean up this mess as well. Oh man. But this has definitely been a satisfying evening, and as I said, I can only thank everybody here for tuning in and watching. So thank you very much. Hi, Thomas Swain, and thank you, and have a good night as well. And likewise, Pawpaw Dan and Mike Washburn and Jimmy Langford talking about the large wok. I got one for Father's Day. I haven't used it yet. I'm thinking some Korean barbecue ribs. Well, that certainly sounds good. Or you could even make a good old fried rice, because once you've made fried rice in a wok, you will not want to make it any other way. And yeah, I'm glad you want some. That's really kind of like the whole point. And that's why I'm glad we did something better, different from another pizza. As much as we all love pizza, I love trying new things, especially when they turn out as well as it did tonight. So I can only thank everybody once again for tuning in. And I can everybody have yourself a good evening, folks. And again, just stay safe and relax. And above all else, have fun cooking in cast iron. Okay, beef don't taste like it did 30 to 40 years ago. I think this one did because we marinated it. So yes, enjoy yourself. And I was surprised with Home Depot's selection of Lodge. Yeah, exactly. I was in Home Depot just the other day getting stuff for my new grill, and they actually did have a Lodge section. So that is something. It's always better when someone else cooks. Well, Randy Maple, give this steak a try, give this sandwich a try, and you may disagree. So I once again thank you, everybody, folks. Good night, and good night, Midnight Lacey, and nice to see you here. And we'll all be seeing you again next week. So good night, Jimmy Langford and John Boy and Val's Black Hats Rules. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you all next Wednesday.